And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of our Animal Care and Control Appreciation Week mini-series. Tonight is OPP's night. I did want to make a couple announcements. One, we are very, very close to 8,000 downloads on the Humane Roundup, so that's super cool.
We had mess on my car.
What's up, Tony? Tony, shut up. We are at 7,980 downloads on the podcast, so we're creeping up on 8,000, so that's exciting. And then our Facebook page also hit 500 likes or follower, whatever you call them today, so that is awesome. Thank you guys. So without further ado, I will turn it over to OPP.
Yeah. All right. So I know I was absent for the last 2 nights. I was away at training because contrary to coronavirus going on, our work doesn't end and our training doesn't stop. I know Daniel did his little training thing the other night. And Mel, I don't even know what you talked about. What did you talk about on your night?
Did you not watch my video?
No.
Really fucking amazing.
No, I absolutely did not watch your video.
He had no internet.
Yeah, I didn't have internet.
I live in Idaho. I'm used to not having internet. I just talked about how awesome I am and animal control is and how I am.
Awesome.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So I kind of just wanted to do a storytelling tonight, like with all of us, not just me. It doesn't need to be about me, but we like to laugh and joke and have all this fun on the podcast, and that's great. But we don't talk about like the dark stuff too much. And I talked about it. It would have been the episode that was released last Friday about how we have these calls that stick with us sometimes that we always remember, good, bad, or otherwise. And I just wanted all of us to maybe go and like share a story or two of some calls that we've done where they just stick out in our memory, whether they were done, 5 years ago for Hildy or 10 years ago for Dan, 15 years ago for Ocho, whatever. Why do these calls stick in our memory? Does anyone want to go first?
Anyone? I'll go first.
Go ahead.
It's not necessarily a call that I went on at the time that this happened. I was a kennel supervisor at a shelter called the Animal Foundation in Las Vegas, huge facility. When I worked there, had 50,000 animals coming through the shelter at the time. So pretty large operation. And we... freaking Pounds is asking if Dan is baking cookies.
Baking those Colorado cookies.
Colorado.
Yeah, he's making juice cookies.
Fresh juice, baby.
Anyways, so every year there's this big event that happens, and so there's like mass spay and neuters that happen. There's a couple events that happen. There's a like best in show, kind of like dog show kind of thing, but with shelter dogs. And then there's also a big event where MGM basically sponsors a bunch of adoptions for their employees. And so at 2 different times, good night, Jazzy, throughout the year, there's mass spay and neuters that go on for these events. And one of these events was happening. This dog, they used internal sutures and then glued the external, whatever you call it. And this dog's sutures came open basically, and her insides were outside. And this happened very early in the morning. I used to work 5:30 to 2 was my shift. 5:30 in the morning till 2 was my shift. Like I said, I was not the shelter supervisor, one of the kennel supervisors. And so all of the other staff normally came in around 8 o'clock ish in the morning. So this probably happened around 6 is when we noticed this dog. We tried calling so many different veterinarians, all kinds of people, couldn't get in touch with anyone. euthanasia staff showed up, and they would not euthanize the dog because at the shelter there was this procedure that you followed, basically, that a supervisor had to approve a dog to go on the euthanasia list and put in shit in the computer, and then the dog was able to be euthanized at that point. And basically there was no one there to do that, so they refused to do so. So really, really long story short,
It's not short anymore, but go on.
this dog ended up having to wait until 8 o'clock ish when the clinic staff showed up and said, screw the protocol, we're euthanizing this dog, like it's bleeding out, it's suffering, etc., etc. And by the time they had made it to this dog, it had lost so much blood that its blood pressure was too low in order for them to be able to even euthanize it. And I just remember just being so livid that day that we in animal shelter would allow an animal to suffer that way because of, like, I understand policies and procedures, but when there's an animal suffering, like, fuck the policies and procedures. Like, we need to end this animal suffering, or do something to fix it, basically. So I ended up going home early that day because I was so livid that nothing happened for this dog. And then also to find out that no one was going to get in trouble for not taking any action against this dog. I wouldn't say that I've had any like bad dreams or anything about it, but it's something that's stuck with me. And that was back in, I don't know, 2011, 12, 13.
You know what sucks is that happens a lot. You see that a lot in animal shelters where, and it's tough for ACOs too, because our job is to go out there and save all these animals. And then sometimes then I don't necessarily want to say neglect, like intentional neglect, but it happens right under our noses at shelters.
Yeah.
And, we all want to support our local shelters or SPCAs, whatever, but we also are obligated to report cruelty and investigate cruelty there also.
Yeah.
Do you have any calls that you've done since you were, I don't want to say promoted, but transferred into ACO work that have stuck out to you?
The only one that again has stuck with me, I wouldn't necessarily say I've had bad dreams about it or anything like that, but it's just something that I'll never forget. Is this lady who rescued some ponies that were running loose, just threw them out in her pasture. At one point decided they needed a hoof trim, didn't like how rough the farrier was being with them, so then decided to never call a farrier again. And then we found out about it, and you can imagine years of no farrier work or
were they curled up?
Oh yeah.
Curling up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they were really, really bad. Thankfully, we were able to get hooked up with a good farrier, get hooked up with a veterinarian that had x-rays, and were able to trim back the shoes and all that good stuff in an appropriate manner, and they kind of went back to normal.
What about you, Ocho? Age before beauty.
Yeah. There's never really much that I've seen that phases me. I used to work 911, so as an ambulance, I've seen many shit that this animal stuff's not gonna really phase me.
Well, I mean, go back that far if you have to. I mean, because I believe at least those experiences kind of shape who you are as an officer now, probably.
Yeah, well, there's actually one call. Which every once in a while, all the old ambulance crew get together, and talk about our ghosts that we see. There was one call August 4th. I forgot which year it was. It was probably 2002. But I remember the day. I remember the location. It was on the intersection of 5th Street and Victoria Avenue, which is in Oxnard, and it's a high-velocity intersection. Well, this little Geo Metro driving with the mom, the son, who was 14, a daughter who was 7 years old. Her name was Brenda. Well, they ran a red light, and it happened to be a big long bed truck he got the green light, and he was high velocity that it T-boned the Geo Metro and pretty much decapitated the 7-year-old. So we were first on scene and had to call the girl. We had go and climb inside. I had to, being that was bigger still, I had to climb inside the vehicle and just pronounce her dead on scene. And then we took the mom and the son in one ambulance, and then 3 other ambulances responded because the truck had 3 patients. But the whole ride to the ambulance, to the hospital, the mom and son were asking about the little girl and what can we really say that for them not to be sad. It's I still remember it. Every time I get an intersection, I remember the date, like I was just there. Didn't have to tell the mom and a 13-year-old boy that their sister was pronounced dead on scene by me. And that one I still feel that every once in a while. I still, as we call it, we still have our ghosts that come by when I cross the scene. But that's why animal stuff now. I've seen a bunch of shit. That's just one of them that I recall all the time. But I've seen so much shit that other than this animal stuff's gonna really faze me.
What about you, Mel? You've had like 20 minutes to think about it. You knew I was going to ask you.
I know. I was just trying to think of how I'd start the story. So obviously I work with a police department, and detectives will sometimes come across some cases and give them to us when they have something that is animal related as part of their cases. And I had a persons detective approach me about this case they were working on that had an animal element to it. The case they were working was a child rape case, where a special needs teenager was raping his younger siblings.
Oof.
Special needs how, if you don't mind me asking?
On the autism spectrum with violent tendencies. I don't know what the diagnosis was other than that.
The only reason I'm asking, I'm trying to like paint a picture in my head is like, how much do you blame parents in a situation like that?
He went to like special schools because he was violent. He had broken teachers' jaws in the past. The state hired his mom to be his caretaker, so she got state money. And so the animal element of it was that in addition to his siblings, he was also raping his family dogs.
Jesus Christ.
So part of my investigation was, reading and watching the CARES interviews with the children, having to, listen and watch these children talk about being raped essentially, but they obviously don't know what that term is because they're so young. And then the parents actually knew what he was doing and didn't act upon it. So part of my problem with the case, and I relived it for a while because it bothered me so much, was when I removed the animals from the house, I was the bad person for doing that. And the stepfather pled because I charged the parents for cruelty because they were complicit in the acts that were being committed upon the animals.
Right.
Because I couldn't charge the juvenile that he was in a juvenile competency court. But his mom fought me the entire way. And in Idaho, when I remove an animal as part of a cruelty investigation, we have to go through this owner forfeiture process to remove their rights to the animals, which is a civil court attached to a criminal court. And I remember being on the stand for almost 2 hours talking about raping dogs and the potential promiscuity of dogs and male penis sizes and things that I've never been trained on and have to be the expert witness on.
Like what being stuck is?
Yeah, and plus it's lawyers who don't really know what they're talking about and are just they don't really understand how dogs breed per se. because it was female dogs. There was a male dog too, but we had it euthanized because it was so aggressive. But I guess for me, the case really stood out to me. It was not necessarily the animal crime part of it, but it was the human crime part of it.
Well, and I think that's probably something that we're going to see like throughout this episode is that it's normally, they might be animal calls that we go on or we're going there for animals, but it's generally the actions of people that stick with us, not the actions of animals. Like I can get over a really aggressive dog attack a lot easier than I can get over a really bad cruelty case. I don't know. That's just me.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think the dog attacks are like they have a big shock value maybe in the moment, but like how many times do we do those a day? So it's
Right. Yeah. We become
Just
numb.
the initial shock, and afterwards, just like,
Yeah. Like I've done dog bites where a 3-year-old had to get like 2 reconstructive surgeries on their ear because a neighboring dog got out and bit its ear completely off. It's like, didn't think twice about it. I'm like, yeah, all right, need photos, do my bite report, fax to the health department, move on. Like, feel bad for the kid, but that one doesn't stick with me, because we do those all the time.
Yeah.
Because Daniel's still making his veganness over there.
I'm good, man. I'm just cleaning up. That veganness is healthiness. It's not veganness.
Megan is vegan eggs that taste like eggs, so why not just eat eggs?
Keeping it vegan, man.
You're funny, Oach. You're funny. I hear that a lot, but it's all good, baby.
Hey, so since you shaved your beard, are you like not allowed near schools now? Like, you gotta stay away, or...
He does have that vibe.
Dude, I wasn't allowed near schools before that. I don't know what the fuck.
You don't drive a dark van with no windows.
We used
Tinted
to
glass.
drive a white van.
Tinted glass and candy.
He does.
Candy,
it just has animal
candy bowl on the
protection
windshield.
I wanted to talk about this because I think it's a question that we all get asked a lot, whether it's on the Humane Roundup or on our individual platforms. Like, what's the craziest call you've been on? And it's so hard to answer, I think, because you can go like, well, it's really broad. I could say like, what's the most violent call? I can say, what's the best call? For me, the call that always stands out would be like my very first like real bad cruelty case I had. It would have been back in 2013. So I was on the job less than a year then. And looking back, I have no problem admitting that I was like way in over my head to do a cruelty investigation of this magnitude. Like I shouldn't have done it. Looking back, I could have done so many things better. But the reason why this case sticks out to me is these 2 brothers ended up, it's like your typical low income, and I'm just going to use the word ghetto house where like multiple generations all live in one house. Okay. And it's not by choice. It's because no one has income. And these 2 adult brothers in the house ended up hanging the family pit bull from the roof of the house. And then while it was hanging there, they stabbed the dog 9 times. And it wasn't all that violent as far as like injuries to the dog. The dog did end up having to get put down, but I've seen things that are a lot more graphic. The reason why this one stuck to me was it was the first time that I had ever seen anything premeditated against an animal. If you think about it, a lot of times on our cruelty cases, it's like heat of the moment, heat of the passion, right? Someone gets pissed off at an animal, so they beat the crap out of it. This one, it had bitten one of the brothers' sons like 2 days prior. And they spent 2 whole days planning on how they were going to get revenge on this dog. And their plan was then to hang it and then stab it multiple times. And it was the first time and one of the few times I've ever seen anything like premeditated and planned out as far as animal cruelty goes. Luckily, they both got convicted. They both ended up doing a year in jail, which you can sit there and say, that's horrible. They should have done more time. Yeah, they probably should have. But it's animal welfare. It's a property crime. So I'll take a year in jail for it. But that's
better than nothing.
I think a year is amazing. I've never heard of that in my state. So good on you.
Well, it is good. It's just, you know how some of the animal rights activists are, right? They're like, those people need to be in jail forever.
But they don't do law enforcement.
And lock up the key, and it's like, well, that's not how it works.
Yeah, they don't do law enforcement. They don't actually understand how the judicial system works. Funny
part about this one, if I've ever wanted to call a judge stupid, this would be one of those times because I never have in the past. So throughout the court process, they had bonded out. They were out on bond, so they got to go home throughout the court proceedings. They were convicted, and then their sentencing was scheduled for like a month and a half later. They show up to sentencing. One of the brothers gets sentenced to a year in jail. Then the judge, for some dumb reason, decides, all right, we're going to take a recess before I sentence the next brother. Well, that brother already knew what was happening. He knew what was coming because he just watched his other brother get sentenced to a year and taken away in handcuffs. So during the recess, he fled, and they didn't find him for like 3 months.
Of course.
It's like, what the hell, Judge? He was in the courtroom. Like, why'd you just let him go before you sentenced him?
That's insane.
Does anyone have any happy stories?
Jessica says the longest one she's seen on her cases is 90 days.
90 days. Well, and it's all relative. I mean, these two guys, and I don't know how it works in other states. In mine, the Department of Corrections actually does what they call pre-sentence guidelines, where it's just you enter all of the previous criminal history, what the crime was. They hit enter on a keyboard and it goes, bloop, this is what the sentence should be. Generally, the reason why animal crimes are so low is because they have to be classified as a property crime. It's not a crime against a human. So 90 days isn't uncommon. The longest I've seen are going to be for like my dog fighting cases, most of which ended up going federal just because you open up a can of worms with dog fighting and then they just go federal. I've gotten a few years on federal cases for dog fighting before, but that's not common. I'm not saying that that's all my cases by any means.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Ocho, but I think 3 years is 3 to 5 years, I think
3
is
to
like
5 is
the max.
Maximum.
Yeah, that we can get here in California. Like, if you think about the most egregious thing anyone can do, 3 to 5 years for one count is the max.
We have 3 different levels of animal cruelty. At the felony level here, we've got first degree animal cruelty, which you can actually have as a 10-year felony now. I've never seen it charged as first degree. Second degree is the most common, which is going to be up to 7 years, but I've never seen anybody get 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And we, I think, talked about this a little bit on our show. The guys that get a lot of time, it's because our DAs are creative with sentencing. Like, they just don't do the animal cruelty. They kind of look at all of the things and like, oh, that's a count of arson, or oh, this is whatever with like the dog fighting, right, or the animal fighting, they're gambling, or there were people under the age of 16 at this dog fight or whatever. So just getting creative and adding those other things in there.
Yeah. What about happy stories? Anybody got like really good happy stories that stick out to them, like that make you go like, yeah, I love this fucking job?
No.
Cricket.
Well, there's one dog. There was 2 dogs at the shelter. This is when I first started, 2005, 2006. I was in the kennels, and these dogs were taken in. They were living under shopping carts for like 6-8 months till we found out, and then we just took them. So we named them Ralph and Albert. And this is a time where every Tuesday we euthanized 100 animals, cats and dogs. Right, every Tuesday, that was our kill day. We were a kill shelter, but we're just going off hundreds of animals a week. But I fell in love with Albert, and somebody else fell in love with Ralph, where we would always forget that they were on the list. So for a year and a half, 2 years that we were at the shelter, we always forget. And after a while, it's like the bosses caught on. They're like, all right, just leave them out there. Like, this is like a high kill shelter we used to work at. And then where every Tuesday, if the dog was there for like a week or 2 weeks, we're like, fuck, this dog has been here forever. But yeah, for 2 years, that dog was there, Ralph, and he was just a big, humongous lab, overweight, looked like a coffee table. So about 2.5 years, he was at the shelter, and he finally got adopted, and I was happy because I take it on my lunch breaks. I take him out, he'd go lay on the lawn. You know, I lay there. He lay there also because he's also a fatso. And 2.5 years, he finally got adopted, and the person they showed us pictures afterwards, he was lean. He was super happy. But yeah, for 2 years, he escaped euthanasia.
Yeah, so you probably had a bunch of weeks too where you're like, yeah, he ain't making it past this week. This is his week. It's happening.
Yeah, but after a while, because one of the main things when I first started, I used to hold where we put the animals to sleep because we didn't have that premix. It was all rodeo time, right? And since I was one of the stronger ones, the bigger guys there, I always get stuck doing the big dogs, and everybody else gets the small ones. But yeah, I skip them every time, skip them. And after a while, everybody knew, yeah, don't touch that dog at all. That's Tony's dog, or the other dog, that's Ashley's dog. Don't touch it. Let it be. But yeah, 2.5 years just at the shelter, and it wasn't heard of for them that long, and he finally got adopted. That was my happiest moment.
That's awesome. I sometimes in some of the neglect cases or things that I work, I feel like they kind of turn into a happy thing for me because like we're getting them away from these people that are neglecting them. But I think the thing that probably brings me the most joy is like whenever there's animals trapped somewhere, like little ducklings fell in the storm drain, being able to get them out and get them back to mom, or get a skunk untangled from someone's like vegetable garden net and send it on its way. I think those are the rewarding things for me, is like getting them unstuck and letting them go about their day.
I hate those calls, the ducklings.
Fuck yes,
God damn it.
I give them to the fire department. Fire gets to deal with those calls.
Dude, snappy snare. Snappy snare every time.
Oh no, well, we got those ones where in the sewer system we can't really. Sometimes there's ladders we can go down and climb in there, which sucks because there's a shit ton of spiders, and I don't get along with spiders. We have a mutual disrespect for each other. And the other ones, you can't reach them with the snappy snare, and you have to just somebody hang by the legs and grab them and pick them up. These little fuckers.
Yeah.
Mel's got tons of happy stories.
I'm trying to rack my brain, and I'm.
You don't have any stories that have a happy ending?
No happy endings?
Well,
leave it to Ocho.
I'm not in uniform for those moments.
But you started.
That phone is on fire with Tinder.
Bitches.
No, she started in the uniform. It's just the happy ending in the uniform.
I just enjoy being thanked for my job because it doesn't happen all that often, or we rarely get recognition for doing things. So a lot of times, like just the simple things and somebody saying thank you, be safe, I appreciate what you do. Like for me, that's happy because goodness knows we have to fight tooth and nail for recognition for almost everything we do. And just to have the general public see the work that we do and then thank us for it, that's what makes me happy. That's what pretty much keeps me going and doing things, is that and going to sentencing hearings and watch those motherfuckers go to jail. So that.
I'm surprised you get thanked. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that word means.
I think Idaho is actually pretty pro law enforcement for the most part. I don't encounter that many. I mean, we have our share of sovereign citizens and cuckoo bananas and gangbangers, but probably nothing like you guys.
Jessica said, my happiest is seeing the dogs get a home. I know not all of them will. Haven't had one yet, although had one return because he bit someone. I think that kind of goes back to like what Hildy was saying with the neglect cases, where you can see the end result. Mm-hmm. It's hard, almost kind of like getting back to like what Jessica was saying. When I do my like neglect or any case like where I have to seize an animal, it sounds bad, but I try and forget about it as soon as I bring it to the shelter, because then it's not in my control at all. In my mind, I did the right thing. Like, all right, I got it out of a bad situation, brought it to the shelter, good situation. If it gets euthanized 2 weeks later, I'm like, I don't want to know that.
Yeah,
I really don't want to know that. So I trust my animal care staff to do a good job and trust to, do good temperament tests and all that stuff. So, and luckily we've got a really good foster program at my shelter. So very, very rarely do we ever euthanize an animal where it's like, should it have been euthanized? Like most of ours are absolutely, yeah, this dog needs to be euthanized. But like kind of like what Ocho was saying, you go back a few years, you don't even have to go back 15 years. It was a different story in the industry altogether. I remember even when I started back in 2013, every so often, every few days, you get a stack of euthanasias. All right, go get them done. And I remember a few days and like officers, we didn't even do euthanasias that much, but I'd line up 15 cats, you know, premix, start, go back to the other end, fatal, you know, do 15 cats in 10 minutes.
Yeah, we didn't even use premix. We used squeeze cages. That's how old school was. Yeah. And premix for the dogs, there's nothing happening. You just have to wrestle with them.
Yeah.
Dog rodeo.
Yeah.
Well, I've got Jerry, Officer Jerry Hirsch, happy story. He had a pit bull mix, all white, beautiful dog. Took over a year and a half to get him to the right owner, and finally happened last year. All right, Jerry.
I think a lot of people who are ACOs and work at shelters have stories like that because you're involved in the adoption process. I don't work for a shelter at all, so I don't really have any of those happy stories. And like Kyle said, when I impound an animal and take it out to the shelter, I do have to check on it regularly as part of my court case stuff until the forfeiture process is over. But we contract with our shelter, so we don't own any part of the shelter. The animal's still technically ours, and the shelter's caring for it. But after the forfeiture process, if the owner loses ownership rights, then we give the animal to the shelter. And usually after that, I have no idea what happens to the animal.
Yeah. Josh said returning a dog that's been missing for 6 months, all due to a microchip. I actually had one like that, except it was longer than 6 months. And this was recent, like going back like within the last year. Just super simple, like patrol for a stray dog call, right? Like call volume's low. All right, cool. I'll go look for this dog. Find it, pick it up. Do my normal thing. I scan it for a microchip, and normally I always scan it before I even get it back to the shelter. That way dispatch can run the microchip, and if I can get it back to its owner and not have to get it to the shelter, it's a win. And frankly, it's less paperwork.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know what? I got a cool story. I'm sorry, go ahead, finish it.
It's a quick story. It had a microchip. Dispatch couldn't find any info, so I'm like, all right, fine, get it to the shelter, and they'll do some more digging on it. Keep in mind I'm from Michigan, so I'm close to Canada. But this dog was from fucking Windsor, Ontario. Somehow this dog crossed the bridge. I don't know fucking how. But and it was like one of those things. So they finally get the microchip information from some like BFE company that's no longer in business because there used to be a whole bunch of them. And it's like the microchip information was last updated like 5 years ago. Like, all right, yeah, we're gonna call them. They're gonna say, no, I gave the dog to whoever. Yeah. They call them and they're like, oh my god, you have my dog. You're like, get the fuck out of here. This isn't like, are you serious? And they're like, no, this dog's been missing for 2 years. Sure shit, it was their dog. I have no idea how the hell it got across the border. I have no idea how after 2 years I just found it roaming the street. But yeah, so I ended up getting a dog back that had been missing 2 years from another country.
That is insane.
We had one. It didn't happen to me, but it's to our shelter where it's kind of a messed up story, but at the same time, it's a cool story. Well, this guy in Kansas was murdered, and his truck and his dog was story. His truck and his dog was taken from Kansas, right? So the vehicle was found like a month and a half, 2 months later in California, Southern California. And that dog was found 100 miles north in our area at a train station. So with the microchip, we tracked who the owner was, and we found out he was deceased. And then we found next of kin. So they lost their son, but they still got the last of what their son had was his dog. And we had a volunteer named Sarah. I forgot her last name, but I don't think I should mention it. Anyway, Sarah. She actually drove the dog all the way back to Kansas, which was pretty cool, just on her own dime.
That's super cool.
Wasn't there a movie made about that? Someone that's listening in the chat, let me know if I swear there was a movie that was made about that where someone's like an owner of a dog died, and then like every single day the dog would go back to like the bus stop.
Yeah, it's a Japanese story. It's a true story.
Hachi.
I can't watch that movie. I lose my shit every time I watch it. I'm a bawling mess.
Yeah, I think it was Hachi.
That's what I thought. Either that or else it was like a Hallmark commercial.
Then off the topic here to say what's up to Josh Park. He wants to know what kind of car I have in the background. So let's see if I show the mess I got here. There it is. It's a 1958 Chevy Biscayne. Shaved the door handles. I put a new engine in it, a new transmission. So if I get drunk, my wife can drive it. It's no longer 3 on a tree. There you go, Josh. 58 Chevy.
Jessica said we were right. Jessica said it was Hachi. Sarah said she did a large seizure of 123 dogs, all Malamutes. All but 3 or 4 got adopted out. That's fucking impressive.
That does not sound fun.
Doing the seizure, I'd be down for the seizure. I don't want to do the paperwork. I don't want to do an intake on 123 dogs.
Yeah, that's the shitty part,
right? Like,
yeah,
we've done
seizures big
seizures
enough for 123 dogs on top of all the other dogs you already have, because that's a lot.
We've
of
done
dogs.
seizures
Well,
on rooster raids where there's like thousands of roosters. We have to intake and picture every single one.
and I won't throw Sarah out there where she specifically works, but let's just say they have enough fucking problems with their hands. They don't need 123 Malamutes. Tony knows where she works.
Sarah, you should invite us back there. I want to see what happens after everything's back to normal. We'd like to see that.
Aw, Huskies are my sweet spot.
Yeah, they're different now.
Because the people in the comments are mentioning it too. What's the biggest number you've done on a seizure, and what type of animal?
We recently did 200 something ish guinea fowl and chicken.
We've done over 2,300 roosters
At one time?
At one night, one day. We euthanized most of them. It took us 36 hours straight.
Wow.
We have to map out. Yeah, we had to map out. You know, we do everything. You map the whole area out, which chicken belongs to what color, which band, who belongs to this animal. And you got to euthanize every single one, take a picture, a number, tag number.
That's the worst part is like people that haven't done this job are like, all right, well, you're just going in there, grabbing them all and leaving. Like, no, we have to have a chain of custody on every single one.
Mm-hmm.
Every single fucking one.
Yeah, every one.
For like,
you got a picture and log every single bird there.
Even if they're dead, sometimes.
Yeah, dead or alive. And that was, I would say, mine. I did 160 cats out of one house. It smelled awesome.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And I did about 150 birds one time, but that actually wasn't that bad. Doing the 150 birds. Carrier pigeons.
Yeah, no, the roosters are good because you got to catch them, and they're not happy, and some still have blades and stuff, and so I was like, ugh.
That's fun. Jessica did 12 St. Bernards. Sarah's search warrant for the 123 Malamutes was 17 pages. No thanks. She also agrees that they have enough shit to deal with, and pounds, 123 cats, 26 dogs. 10 snakes, a monkey, and
a monkey. Pounds.
And Parker, 23 cats from a hoarder.
Pounds, was the monkey nice? Because I've only done one call ever where I had to go do a welfare check on a monkey, and it was the meanest fucking thing ever. Like, I'm glad I didn't have to seize it.
Did you?
What kind of monkey was it? Oh, Tony.
I don't know. The one I did, the one I had to do a welfare check on. How about this? It was like the typical like ones that you would see like with the little goofy hat and like the cymbals clapping.
Oh, the capuchin.
Like the littler one.
The capuchin.
Capuchin, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I used to take care of squirrel monkeys when I worked at the zoo, and they're like probably like the size of my beer bottle. They're like about this size.
Monkey? Oh, those
yeah.
Are
and they're little assholes. Like they're so tiny, but there's so much sass behind there.
No, he says he had a spider monkey. They're they're dicks.
Yeah, spider monkey. Kendra, Tony, Ocho. Kendra wants you to talk about a tiger.
The tiger. This is when Kendra was Kendra Exotic. We had a tiger. Kendra, how much months was that tiger? It was a cub. It was maybe 7-8 months. It was a good sized tiger, right? But it was still a baby.
Tony Exotic.
Tony Exotic over here. And It was a tiger named Tyga. Is there a rapper named Tyga?
Yeah, everyone says I look like Tyga.
Well, yeah, I don't know who the fuck that is, but it was his. I guess I don't know how we came about it. Maybe the tiger got too crazy for him, or someone seized it and he ended up at our shelter. And of course, everybody's taking pictures with it. And, yeah, we ended up with that tiger. Before it was cool, and I didn't have to use meth.
So I just found this out not too long ago. This is way off topic, but Joe Exotic, the guy from Tiger King, he lived in Michigan for a while, like only 20 miles north.
Sorry.
Now we saw you there. What happened?
Sorry, I ruined your story. Did you watch Tiger King?
Christina Wilson, hello from St. Clair County. I know you. We've chatted before. What's up?
Hello.
Hey, Christina.
Did you watch Tiger King? All of them?
Me?
Yeah.
No, first episode, and I said, "What?
How can you stop?
You gotta watch the whole thing.
Oh man, I cannot stop watching that thing.
You gotta watch it, man. Even Daniel's watching it.
I heard there's a new episode. I gotta finish it then.
There is a new episode, and it was like a interview of all of the kind of main
I was
characters.
stuck to. I was addicted to watching that. Just like the Don't Fuck with Cats. I cannot stop watching.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I couldn't stop. Don't fuck.
It's just like, how crazy can this guy get? Apparently could get more crazy.
At least when you watch Don't Fuck with Cats, you can be like motivated, like, yeah, fucking get this son of a bitch. I watched the one episode of Tiger King, and I'm like, I need to go start my gun. Like,
yeah, like it wasn't as motivating to watch as Don't Fuck with Cats. Like some people were like, oh, you're not going to be able to stop watching it. But I think I only watched like 1 or 2 episodes at a time. I didn't watch all of them at once.
Jessica said that you have to get past the 3rd episode before it really gets going. All right, fine. I'll give it a shot this weekend.
Yeah, it's good.
Christina couldn't watch it. She stopped. She couldn't. She had to watch the whole thing. She binge watched. Yeah, it was just addicting. It was just like
3 days.
Daniel, did you watch Don't Fuck with Cats yet? Or not Don't Fuck with Cats, Tiger King.
Tiger King.
I finished it yesterday night.
Okay.
Why are you bouncing now, Paw Patrol? I finished it last night, and I didn't watch the interviews though with all the characters. That was boring.
It's entertaining. No, I love interviews.
I agree if you're not like super invested in the show that the interviews could kind of be boring, but like it was cool to like see his name was John, right? He got teeth. One of the husbands, he got teeth. Yeah, he got teeth, so that was interesting to see. But I don't know, it was just cool to see some of the things that they had to say.
Did you see the new I don't know if it's a meme or the new thing that's out where the guy who ripped off or bought the zoo off Joe.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
He's supposedly that lady's first husband, abusive husband.
Wait, say what?
Yeah, that guy was it John? Is his name?
I forget his
John
name. John
Lowe or something.
Yeah,
no.
Lowe, yeah.
They put a picture of what's that crazy lady's name?
Carol Baskins.
Yeah, Carol Baskins.
Carol fucking Baskins.
They put a picture of Carol Baskins' husband back then when she was married, when he was abusive.
Okay.
And they put it side by side with a split with John, whatever his name is.
James.
And it supposedly looks exactly the same. That it was possibly her first husband that did all this shit. So, because now Peter's not going after the zoo no more.
That whole thing, man. That whole thing, and I don't want to ruin it for listeners. And so I'm guessing, Kyle, you didn't see it since you
killed Sarah Kyle. Carol Baskin's a murderer.
Well, yeah, I've got the spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you can't not. Jeff Lowe is his name. I feel like you can't not see them.
Is it even about like the Tigers, or is it just about?
No.
Oh, absolutely not.
Extra.
No, it's about ego.
The Tigers
really.
are extras.
It's all about ego, Kyle. Truthfully,
like literally, I equate it to like if you combined horse people that we have to deal with
Word.
and rescue people. If you
Word.
combine them into one person, like that is Tiger King.
I know a lot of people in
Analogy.
rescue that are like Carol Baskin. That's a fact. And also, Mel, is that in your house or is someone behind you?
Yeah, Mel
Keep
just
walking by?
There's a sliding glass door.
It's a window showing
Okay.
what's going on over there.
So, do you have a roommate?
No. Well, so
Somebody
I
she
kind
just
of-
met on the
Tinder?
phone app.
Bring him over. Bring him over. Bring him over. Bring him over. Real
I'm not
talk.
even. This isn't even my house.
Bring that tell him to come over.
I'm using the house for internet.
Tell
Also,
him to come. Tell him to come over.
So
My
you put
Call that person over.
no, my friends
Come
are
on,
housing
come on,
me
come
next door.
You don't have internet at home?
No, not where I am right now.
we're going off the rails here. I lost.
I
my-
know. See, you see what happens to me every week. Tara, our winner from our March Coranda giveaway, is here. She
Sup,
hasn't
Tara?
watched Tiger King
Stream
yet.
with Tara what?
You need to get on that, or I'm taking the Coranda
Yeah.
bag back.
Who is it? Who is it? Who's the winner?
Tara Simpson. Oh yeah,
I found it.
yeah. Tony wasn't here or no, I don't think you were there for the episode. You got called in. That's right.
Yeah, I got called in.
So we didn't get a cowbell for her on the episode, but now
I'm
you
on
got it,
call.
Tara.
I'm on call tonight too, Tony.
That's
I'm on standby tonight at midnight, so I got to check in midnight to 8.
Josh Parker was on episode 3. Did y'all already cover that?
No.
Josh,
You were
speak
on-
up.
I think he means that he's like on episode 3 as in watching.
Oh, we thought he was
Watching it.
on
Not
the
like he's
show.
featured on the show.
We were about to get him up in here to talk about
Yeah,
it.
on his teeth.
Yeah, so I used to date Carol. I dodged a bullet there.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens.
Oh, yeah, Christina
You're gonna get
goes,
sued.
"Hello, cats and kittens."
I know Carol's going to sue us.
That Humane Roundup stole my catchphrase.
I heard something about how she didn't want to be in any future episodes because she didn't like how the show portrayed her.
I mean, she
I'm
did.
Like,
Fucking
because they portrayed you as a crazy psycho fucking murdering bitch. Like, what?
Yeah, like everyone
Oh,
knows you
no.
killed your husband. So 95% of me thinks that she killed him, but the other 5% makes me think that he was like, this bitch is crazy. I'm going to cut my losses, send some shit down to, was it Cuba or
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica? Send
Mm-hmm.
some shit to Costa Rica and then live out the rest of my days there.
Yeah, but she inherited all his money.
That's true.
Exactly.
But
Unless he
so-
had other money that she ain't know about. And
Yeah.
also, I know I'm going to go down a rabbit hole, but Jazzy thinks I'm weird because I kind of like Joe Exotic. There's something about dude that I like. I don't know what it is.
I mean, we all know you're weird.
Kyle bouncing again. I don't.
We
You are.
Kyle, are you there?
You got to watch the whole thing before you make a judgment about him. I mean, he burned. Well, can I talk about the whole thing?
Yeah, dude.
No,
Yeah, he
no,
burned
Kyle
down his
hasn't seen it yet.
whole alligator enclosure.
He did not burn it down.
What?
Don't spread rumors.
Facts.
Not facts.
Yeah.
Not facts.
I mean, you can't prove it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't prove it, but anyway.
All right, Daniel, we're getting back on track. You missed like the
Oh,
first
sorry about that.
40
Yeah,
minutes.
I had a
You gotta
very
give us
call.
He was busy juicing.
most memorable call of your career, good, bad, or otherwise. And then you have to give us something that like really stands out in your career as a positive.
So this is one of my most memorable calls.
Kendra says Joe's gonna turn Dan too. He's gonna turn him.
Eagle County official rescues stranded dog.
That's one of my most memorable rescues.
Oh, that was in your bio, right?
Yep.
About
Yep.
you going in the river and yeah.
Yeah, so that one was I was running the shelter up there and got a call on my way into work, and they were like, there's this dog on an island of ice in the Eagle River. And I was like, well, that sounds cool. No pun intended.
But
And so like as a manager of the shelter, I still did officer work, but just not as much. And I decided to just go down there on the way in, drop the kids off at school. And Eagle's such a small town that I was able to get there quickly. And sure enough, there was a dog, a Cane Corso mix, probably about 30 to 50 yards out on this island of ice. And I just was like, fuck it, I'm going to wade through the river. And the Eagle River is really shallow, especially in the wintertime where there's no ice melt. It's probably like 3 to 4 feet deep tops at areas. And they call me Skinny Long D. So I'm good. I'm tall. I can get this.
Yeah, but it only takes like, 20 something inches of water to sweep a car away.
True. But I'm also dumb, Hildy. Like, I'm not the smartest guy on the show.
Oh, trust me, I've been there.
And so I see this dog out there, and I'm like, cool. I got a witness here, or RP. I'm like, take photos, bro. And I get out there, and I get on.
You're like, bro, I'm making the news tonight.
Facts. Because like that's maybe why I like Joe Exotic, because we both are egomaniacs.
Attention horse.
No, I've been there for sure, Dan. One time this lady, she lived in Nevada, was in California on her way back home, stopped, let her dogs to go to the bathroom. Of course, off leash, one fell down this hill. It was an older shepherd, couldn't get back up. She couldn't go back down. It was like 11 o'clock at night, pitch dark. And she didn't know where she was. She was in like a random stretch of road between like the Sacramento area and Lake Tahoe. So like just out in the wilderness, basically. Gave me a mile marker to find her. And this dog was just down probably 10-15 feet down this like ravine or whatever you want to call it, above the rushing river. And without any hesitation, I just was like, fuck it, let's go get this dog. And so yeah, I've for sure done my share of stupid things to rescue animals.
The craziest thing about it is I get onto the ice island and the dog's like, fuck you. It's like, I don't want anything to do with you. But then I thought it was just going to run through the river. And I was like, damn, all right, peace. And sure enough, the dog's like, maybe you're cool. So it took probably about 3 to 5 minutes to get the dog to calm down. So I finally rope it. And I rope it and I try tugging on it. I'm like, all right, buddy, we're going to walk through the river. And he's like, no, I'm not. And we're talking like a 65 to 75 pound dog. He's like, I'm not walking through that. You're crazy. That shit's cold. I was like, all right. I was like, well, I got to pick his ass up. So I picked him up, walked through the river slowly with a 70-pound dog, got onto dry land, ran to the truck like Bear Grylls. I thought about stripping naked, and then got him to the shelter, warmed him up. And then the owner came in, she got a ticket and got her dog back. So
cool.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to tell the breakfast sandwich story yet?
Yes.
For all of our listeners that are still here with us, be prepared to laugh right now.
It's probably not as funny to us because you've all heard it already. So maybe a month or two ago, I'm driving the work truck. I'm on duty and I'm heading to a call. And there's
this story.
I'm going to try to find some photos of it too while we're doing this.
And let me preface this with the fact that Dan is like a plant-based person, does not eat meat.
No, definitely don't eat meat. How am I going to find this shit? Okay, so I'm going to look at my phone while I'm doing this so I can find the photos because that makes it all the better. So I am driving.
To me.
You want me to send them to you?
Yeah, send me the photo.
Text?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm driving eastbound, which probably doesn't matter here. And it's a 2-lane road, but that 2 lanes, it's going to merge into another lane. So basically, I have to merge over. I'm in the right lane. I need to get into the left lane. I get in, start to merge over, put my turn signal on, and sure enough, there's a car in my mirror, but it's far enough back that I felt like, all right, there's no issue with this. And as I merge into the lane, I see the car kind of start speeding up, giving me the middle finger, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm like, great. All right, that's fine. And I keep moving along. And then we get to a stoplight and the car now I'm in the left lane and that right lane was about to end after the stoplight. So of course the guy that was behind me gets into the right lane and he's yelling, saying all sorts of shit to me. So I roll my window down and I'm like, hey man, I'm like, what's the deal? Like, why are you so upset? Like, he was like, you fucking cut me off. You were within 3 inches of my car. You should have saw me. And I'm like, man, I didn't cut you off. I put my turn signal on. Like, everything's good, dude. Like, there's no need to get upset about it. And he's like, fuck you, you piece of shit. I'm like, really? I'm like, why are you so upset? There's way more stuff to be upset about in this world. And sure enough, here, I found the photos. All right, I'm going to real quick for suspense. I'm going to send the guy too. Fuck him. All right, it's on its way. So the guy, he's yelling, and you're going to see the photo of this car here shortly until he gets back when he gets him. And the guy's yelling at me, "Yeah, you cut me off," and I'm like, dude, chill the fuck out. It's only like we're driving. No one got hit. No one got hurt. And all of a sudden, he like reaches down like this, and then just. And there's an Egg McMuffin that hits me in the shoulder right here. Hits me in the shoulder. And he rolls up his little window like a little bitch and drives away. And sure enough, I got his license plate. And then filed a police report because I was assaulted with a sausage.
Oh my goodness.
That's the best thing to do. That is the ultimate thing to do to a plant-based person.
I mean, he must have known. He must have known that I was plant-based, and he was like going to disgrace me. So that story will always live on. That I got slapped with a sausage. Did you get him, Hildy?
I did.
Hey, that's something that you and Joe Exotic have in common.
Maybe that's why I like him so much. So, back to Kyle's question really quick. That the dog in the ice one is a really cool one just because it's like heroic in a sense. Like we saved something. We all love saving something. We just had a great return after he took like a nibble out of it too. That ain't me that took a nibble out of it.
That's funny.
I wish I was in your position because I just would have picked it up, like made eye contact with him, just like.
Exactly.
I wish I was on a ride along with you. Like that would have been.
Yeah,
that would have made the best day ever.
I would ask for like a ketchup packet.
You got some barbecue sauce over there?
Yeah.
Yo, I know you got the hash brown. Give me the hash brown too.
That's awesome.
That's funny.
As far as cases that like. There's so many. You know what's crazy is I've been pulling photos for some of the trainings that I've been putting together, and I don't remember half of them. Like I don't know if anybody has that issue where it's like I just can't recall the like I'm like what case was this? Like I don't know if I just suppress it so heavily or what, but there's a lot of cases where I just can't remember what's going on.
I get that from dispatch. Oh, there's the guy.
Look at him, punk ass.
What's
and he had a
in the
little
back
dog.
seat?
He had a little dog, little Chihuahua looking thing.
Get through the sausage. Bet you the Chihuahua would want the sausage.
I know. I was going to throw it back through that.
Probably why I was looking. He's like, dude, that's my fucking breakfast.
Breakfast.
That's funny.
But I get that from dispatch. I don't know if any of you guys do. Like, they'll get some sort of call that comes in, a complaint, and then they'll check history and they'll call me and be like, hey, do you remember going to ABC 123 Street? And I'll be like, no, when was I there? They'll be like, 2016.
Yeah. You'd be like,
girl, why the fuck would I know that?
Yeah. Be like, what was I there for? Oh, it was like a first time dog at large complaint. How the fuck would I remember that?
mm-hmm.
You know how many I've done since then? About 700. Okay.
Hey, I got a photo of Mel Exotic.
Were you there, Mel?
Oh, no, I used to be a zookeeper for big cats.
No, she was at Doc Antle's zoo.
Hey,
I missed out on getting bigger tits. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, let's see those leather pants photos or leather bikini photos.
Hey, real quick, Jessica commented, your dispatch checks history, mine doesn't. Yeah, mine does. So if I'm out on the road and they say, like, call comes in, they'll say, all right, call me out by my call sign and say, yep, I need you to go to this address for this type of complaint. History shows we've been there 2 times for this and this in the last, 6 months or something like that. And then they'll tell me if there's any dog licenses there also. So,
dang, that's awesome. We got to do that shit ourselves.
I had a couple calls. One was there's just so fucking many. There was a skinny border collie that you couldn't tell he was skinny. Well, you could based on his frame, but had the thick hair that he had on him. I think I body scored him out of 1 out of 9, and he the muscle atrophy. He was so like I'm trying to clench up, like he couldn't stand straight up on his back legs because of the atrophy, and he was called in from this motel that was a known daily rate motel where a lot of people that do drugs and bad things visit. And
Mel knows about him. Yeah,
I bet they have a bunch in Montana or wherever the fuck she's at. And so I remember getting the call from the workers at the hotel saying that this dog was there and it was just tied up in a laundry room. It was all bullshit. Like they knew who the dog belonged to. And so I investigated it on scene, was able to find who the owner was, charge him, take the dog. And the dog lived with one of our volunteer fosters for a while. She ended up adopting him. He never could get healthy, like due to the situation. That was one that was difficult, just because you think you get it out of a good situation and all is clear, but the reality was like it was life different. What's the word? Life differenting circumstance. Altering. Thank you. Yep. Appreciate that.
Eastern.
Yay, thesaurus.
And so, that's a tough one because we wanted that dog to have a long life, but it was short lived, but at least it was outside of that bullshit place and it could have some nice normal time.
Anyone else got any stories they want to share before we?
At least you're pretty, Daniel.
Nice picture, Hildy.
That's a little creepy the way you talk.
Yeah.
Oh, is there like a? That's cool.
It's weird. And why did you just call me pretty?
Because you couldn't think of the word life altering.
Whatever.
It's fine. You guys make fun of me all the time, so I'm just getting paid.
You look like a bot up there with your voice vibrating.
Yeah, what are you doing, Hildy?
Yeah, it reminds me of Hal.
It's not like we're live or anything right now.
Oh,
whoa.
I was standing up. What's up?
How tall are you?
I'm taller than Kyle.
Well, everybody's taller than Kyle.
I'm sorry, Kyle. I love you. I just remember you told us a story about you being short.
I'm very short. That's okay.
Like Danny DeVito short?
5'7".
Hey, all of our listeners, I don't know
I'm
how many.
standing up right now.
Let's start with you guys on the podcast. Whose department has done something for them for APO Appreciation Week?
Not me, because I'm not an APO.
You're talking about people in the comments?
Stop it there. You are, sir. You are, Ouch. Everybody, I want to start with the group.
Nothing
from
we
you.
got some meals from Panera. I don't think
Meals on Wheels.
our management bought it. I think that they donated it.
Panera.
Yeah, they're sending lunch for us tomorrow when I go back in today for my supervisor and the other guy I work with.
Can you sit the fuck down?
I know, it's so weird.
He's got the power stand.
I feel like I'm in an R. Kelly video right now.
I've been holding back. There's so many things I could say about this point of view right now, but
just stop.
I'm gonna pee on you.
I'm gonna get that pee.
I believe I can pee.
I don't like you guys anymore.
I
didn't like you.
A little bubble of talking though.
Hey Kyle, how was that training?
It was good. I enjoyed the training. I did not enjoy my accommodations.
That's fair.
Kyle was not social distancing and he's just traveling around, so it's cool.
It's fine. Yeah,
actually, it was the exact opposite of social distancing. They stuck me in a freaking cabin with 4 other dudes.
That's cool, though.
Did everybody get their stimulus check?
I did. I got mine this morning.
I did. I bought a tiger.
Word.
Actually, you know what? I totally thought that was fake. Like, everybody's bullshitting. I thought it was like a continual fake that you're getting a stimulus check. I'm like, oh, shit.
You got it.
Well, and I heard that potentially there's a bill that's going to be introduced that they're potentially giving $2,000 every month until the unemployment rate gets back to what it was pre-COVID-19. So
Shit, there's gonna be a lot of followers out there.
that would be pretty cool.
Are they only
that for
giving that to people who are unemployed?
No, even it's going to even include everyone under the age of 16 that doesn't make $120,000 a year.
That's a shit ton of people.
You mean over the age of 16?
Over the age of 16.
Wait, what did I say?
Under?
Yeah, over the age of 16.
What about the bill that was presented for 25,000 K?
I think that's a lie. I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, it's true.
For essential workers, a bonus. I don't think that's happening.
Did everybody spend their stimulus money yet?
Yeah, I paid my car off.
No,
Nice.
I'm gonna hold off till I pretend like I don't have it until I need it.
Savings.
I bought baby stuff, but I did not spend all of it. No.
I mean, I might buy a new reel and maybe some tackle, but
I don't need it for anything. I don't know. So right now it's just going to sit there. But
Cool.
I'm actually gonna give it to September when hopefully this is done. Deer season opens up in California.
Well, I'm going to go to bed.
let's wrap her up.
Yeah. Thanks, Kyle, for hosting
No,
tonight.
we're gonna do mine now. Mine's next. We're gonna do
Be
Yeah.
safe. Keep it wrapped.
Just a reminder.
we'll do mine
these
tomorrow.
episodes are what we're going to be voting on for our April Coranda giveaway. So make sure you're watching them. We've got Tony's and Joe's still to do. And the guy or Mel who gets the most votes. I have a pretty awesome, I don't have it yet, but I have a pretty awesome prize that I'm going to be giving to whoever gets the most votes.
Is it a Humane Roundup sticker?
It's not.
Is it a Coranda cat tower or dog bed?
No, it's cooler than that.
Molly, he didn't mean it that way.
I didn't mean it that way, Molly. But yeah, thank you, Kyle, for sure, for on short notice arranging and organizing this. Daniel caused quite a stir yesterday because he had Parks and Rec and Family Guy and all sorts of shit in his PowerPoint. And so YouTube was pissed off at me and Facebook was pissed off at me. But I think we got it all worked out and we're good now.
Wait, did they send you more messages?
Yes, I got one from YouTube. Freaking whoever owns Parks and Recs actually tagged or like complained about our video because you had Parks and Recs in it.
Yeah.
Wait. They saw our video, or is it just something that automatically flagged them?
It flags. So
Yeah,
like if people use any of my content in their YouTube videos, I get a notification and then I have the right to do a copyright claim on it if I want to.
Well,
Yeah.
come see me, Parks and Rec. Come see me.
Cool. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Kendra said a bottle opener. It's even cooler than a bottle opener.
What
I
are you
think
doing,
something-
Daniel?
Yeah, mine should be tomorrow. It's gonna be easy.
Trying to antagonize.
On how do you de-stress?
Oh, Ocho's gonna do on how do you de-stress. Are we doing another live video, Ocho? Or
However you guys want to do it, I'll do live if you guys want.
Let's do live.
it's your
Raw.
show? Man.
What
What
time?
time? What time you want to do it, Och?
What time? Same time good for you guys? 8 o'clock?
Sure.
I'll be on my
8
I'm
o'clock more time.
8 o'clock Pacific.
Pacific time.
specific time.
Specific standard time.
We're gonna do it Eastern.
I'm bringing home a foster puppy named Melon tomorrow. So, but
Oh, and you'll put him on the
we'll put him on the podcast for
put him on
sure.
the podcast.
Oh, we have to do it. Kendra said yes.
Yep. Kendra said yes live.
Holly, she's saving her stimulus check to move back to Phoenix. Why would you want to do that? It's hot as hell over there.
Everything's gonna melt, Holly. All right, let's.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Tomorrow,
8 o'clock
8 o'clock Pacific time, 11 p.m.
live in
Eastern time.
Eastern time.
Eastern time, 9 p.m. Mountain time.
Wait, how do you actually say it? Eastern?
Eastern.
No,
go.
Eastern is fine. Eastern is fine.
Eastern.
The way it's fucking spelled, Hildy.
Eastern.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Hey, love y'all. Love y'all.
Right. Hey, a dive bar. Yeah, I remember that dive bar. That was pretty awesome.
And
right, good night, everybody.
And we're out.